All right, for today's assignment, we're going to do a couple things. One of them is going to be called a loft. I'm going to show you how to put some text, and we can extrude text. And we're also going to talk about a fillet and some of the other relatively simple tools that are kind of along our tool board or our toolbox that you can use. I'm going to call mine house because we're kind of going to be creating a house type looking deal. So we'll go from there. All right, so this thing is going to load up. Now that it's loaded, I'm going to create my sketch. I'm going to create a sketch right here in the top plane, and then I'm going to click up here to go and look at my top plane. And I am going to I'm just going to start with a rectangle. So I'm going to do a 2-inch by 2-inch rectangle. And then I want to make sure this thing's centered. So I'm going to go to my dimension tool, and I want to say from the outside to the middle should be 1 inch. And from the outside to the middle should be 1 inch. Okay, so I got a 2 by 2 centered rectangle. And I'm going to click the green check mark. So I got what it looks like there. I'm going to do a basic extrusion here. So I clicked extrude. I'm going to click on my shape. I'm going to change that to 2 inches. So I have a 2 by 2 by 2 block, essentially. Rectangle, rectangle, rectangle. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this plane tool up here. And I'm going to add a plane above my block. And I'm going to add it, let's go with 1.5 inches up. So 1.5, click enter, and you can see now I have a plane that's just floating there. It's just like an extra piece of paper. So I'm going to do a sketch in that plane. So I'm going to click top, so I'm looking down at it. And I'm just going to do a point, and I'm going to do my point right in the center there. So again, I got a floating point right there. And then we're good there, okay? So now we're going to try to use a loft. So we click this loft button. Let's see if it'll let us use this profile. Looks like it will. So we're going to loft. So we're going to take this square as one of my profiles, and then my end one is I'm going to click that button, and what you're going to see is it's going to bring that square to that point. It's called a loft, where it kind of connects those two parts. So I lofted that together. Okay. So I'll click my green check mark, and that thing is now lofted. Again, that would be our loft, the side that looks like a house. Two more things we're going to do. Up here along this side, I talked about a fillet. There's also a chamfer. These are just some relatively simple tools to use. If I do a fillet, you can see it's got a rounded corner there. If I wanted to round my corners, I could click on a corner and click on a corner. And if I zoom in a little bit, and maybe you could see it's rounding those corners for us. Okay. So I'm going to change that to 0.5. So I got a 1/2 inch rounded corner. All right, now let's say I want to just cut the corners instead of rounding them. I could chamfer. And if I click on my corners here, chamfer, chamfer, you can see it just cuts those straight off. Instead of rounding them, it just makes it a nice flat cut. All right, so I got 2 rounded sides, 2 flat sides, which shouldn't look bad at all. Last thing we're going to do here, I'm going to do this one right on the back of this shape. So I'm going to go sketch, and I'm going to click right on the back of that shape. I don't really care where at, it's just got to be a flat section of our shape. We're going to add some text. So I'm going to click and drag to put my text box on there. I'm just going to call it house. I'm going to make it bold. Boom, we can see that thing's pretty large. So what we should be able to do here is if I move it around a little bit, Now to change the size of this, we got to go to our dimension tool, and I've got to go from here to here. I can see that's entirely too large. I just want that thing to be like 1.5 inches. And I want to bring it up just a little bit. Let's say maybe 0.8, ballparking it. That looks pretty good. So I have text in there now. Again, that's just text. I've got to go through to make that show. I can either extrude it out. You can see it's coming out and says house. Or I could remove that away, and it would take the letters away so that you can see house. And again, you don't have to put the words house. You can put your name. You can put anything in there. I just put house because it kind of looks like a house. And that's it. That's all I wanted to cover today. So we wanted to look at, we did a sketch, a basic sketch, and extruded it so we got a block. We added a plane and then lofted that roof. We rounded or fillet on 2 sides of it. We chamfered or kind of cut those edges off on 2 other sides. We added text, and then we